Happy lunch hour, gang. All right, how many of you guys remember Sam Kinison? Remember, comedian? Probably a lot of you do. He died a few years back. There was a joke he told, and you remember how his shtick went, okay? But he was talking about all the food aid that went to Africa. It's like, we send you food, we send you water, we send you thousands and thousands and millions of dollars and everything like that. And you're still starving. Go to where the food is. You know, that was it. Obviously, I'm not Sam Kinison. I don't have the delivery, whole 9 yards. But that was the point. Go to where the food is. And it's getting interesting here in the U.S. Now, how many of you, I'd say a good portion of you, probably live in more rural areas? Preppers just have a tendency to. Some live in the suburbs. There are some in the cities. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But this is what's getting interesting is doesn't matter if you're rural, doesn't matter if you're suburbs, doesn't matter. It might actually matter more if you're in the cities. Do you know what a food desert is? That's where there's no food that's available to you in your local area. That's, that you could get to. Now think about this for a second. If you live in the city, there's a good chance you don't have a car, that you use public transportation, okay? If you live in the suburbs, or certainly if you live in a rural area, you certainly have to have your own method of transportation. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. Like I said, for me to get to the grocery store from here is a half an hour drive. Either direction, doesn't matter, okay? I don't have a vehicle. I don't get to the grocery store. Granted, I grow a lot of my food, but, I don't grow my own milk. I don't grow my own cheese. I don't grow my own salt. There's still things I need at the grocery store. But this is where the problem is starting to come in the United States. Now, for 4 years under Bidenflation, we had a big problem with food getting more and more expensive. Before anybody wants to stop me on this one, the official numbers, just giving them to you, okay? For February, food inflation, we don't have March numbers yet, it's only the 3rd of April. Food inflation in the United States for February 2025 was precisely 0%, okay? So the Democrats could try to blame Trump, that whole thing, eggs, kind of fell flat on them because eggs are down, at least around here, more than 50% in the last 2 weeks, all right? And everything else. Beef is still high. Food's still expensive, don't get me wrong. But what wound up happening through that whole Bidenflation era was stores were losing money. Remember, it was, first off, people couldn't afford to buy what was in the store. And second off, in a lot of places, when they couldn't afford to buy it, it was legal to just steal it. So they did that too. So, of course, what was the store's response? Well, we're just going to first lock up stuff. And second, we're just going to close the store. And that happened. Okay. So what wound up happening when food got expensive was, and we all know this, people started stepping down. They went from Whole Foods to Kroger. They went from Kroger to Walmart. They went from Walmart to Aldi. They went from Aldi to the dollar stores. And the dollar stores actually saw a boom in people shopping for groceries, right? To the point where Dollar General started opening up dollar markets all over the place, that didn't have all the other crap that they have in them. It was basically a small grocery store. They opened one around me here too, all right? But what you wind up happening, especially in cities and things like that, is there isn't the real estate to go build a new store. So the stores would close, and then the people were left with the only thing to shop at was the little convenience store, the gas station, the bodega, call it whatever you want, whatever it's called in your area, the 7-Eleven, the AM, PM, whatever. You ever shopped in one of those things? First off, the stuff's expensive. Second off, you better check the expirations because a lot of the stuff that's on those shelves is expired. Okay. And third off, it's all crap food. All right. You're not going buying chicken breasts or chicken thighs or pork chops at the 7-Eleven. You know, you're getting the canned product full of preservatives and all that. But that was your only option to buy something because there wasn't a grocery store within walking distance, or God forbid you're taking a bus and trying to carry groceries home on a bus in New York City. Good luck with that one, or on the subway. You know, yeah, that's going to happen. Well, it's getting worse, and we need to be aware of this. This has started being reported at the beginning of the year, and it's accelerating. The major grocery chains have announced, collectively, have announced that they are going to close some 15,000 grocery stores in the U.S., okay? I'll give you just some ideas so you know if any are in your area. Walmart's closing stores in California, Georgia, and Ohio. All right. Albertsons says they're closing stores around now. Albertsons up in the Chicago area. I don't know how much more they do. I think they bought out Jewel a while back. But Kroger is closing stores in Nashville and the Woodlands, Texas, just for example. Winn-Dixie is closing them in Columbus and Phoenix City, also in Fort Lauderdale, in Jackson, in Orlando. Those are getting converted into Aldi's. Stepping down, okay. Safeway is closing a boatload of stores. Shaw's up in New England, Gloucester, Mass, and Concord, New Hampshire. Yep, you're going to have stores closed down if they haven't already closed, okay. Amazon Fresh, you know, these are new stores. They are closing stores in California and Virginia this month. All right. Piggly Wiggly, hey guys down in Texas, okay. And Morton, Texas, obviously, but Columbia, South Carolina, bye-bye, no more Piggly Wiggly. And then Dollar General, the aforementioned, we're all going to the dollar stores, they're closing roughly 100 stores by the end of the year. Okay. And those are just some that have been announced. It's going to be harder and harder and harder to find food, to find healthy food. Now you add in all these tariffs and what's going to happen, and prices go up, you're going to see more store closures, simply put. Okay, if the stores aren't making a profit, we all know the margins on a grocery store are teeny. Okay. Sorry, AOC, no, the grocery store is not gouging you for prices. The margin in a grocery store is under 3%. Okay, no, the stores need to maintain a profit. You can't operate any business at a loss for any sort of length of time. Okay, eventually you just run out of money. They're all, Kroger, Albertsons, all these stores, they're not the government. They can't just print more. Okay. So this is where all of the big picture comes into play. And I mean, you hear me say this often, got to put puzzle pieces together. This is just another one. How you are preparing yourself for what's going to come. Yeah, we're going to try to get these tariffs to increase the manufacturing base in the country. Okay? Well, the tariffs are also going to affect the food industry. As I said yesterday, bananas or whatever. Well, if they're not making any profit on bananas, they're not going to sell them. And there's going to be less and less and less food available. Think about that, okay? You wonder why you prep. If the only option you have is going to the 7-Eleven, the only stuff you can buy is what the 7-Eleven carries. Oh, you want steaks for dinner? Sorry. We don't carry any fresh meat. Your option is raviolios or, whatever's on the shelf in a can. Okay. RFK might have a little problem with that with all the preservatives in it. Your body might have a little problem with it. I don't know. I kind of like eating stuff that is healthy for me, not full of chemicals. We talk about many times about making connections. And it's easier for some than others. I mean, for me to find somebody that has eggs or has a cow and I can get milk from, or buy beef, chicken, whatever, not nearly as difficult for somebody that lives in, say, downtown Chicago, all right? You know, not a whole lot of people in the city of Chicago with a cow. Sorry, Mrs. O'Leary. But start thinking about this. As the stores close, where are you going to get your food? We're already seeing, like I said, what's called food deserts, where there isn't anything accessible to the people. Like Sam Kinison said, maybe you need to go where the food is. I hate to break it to the people that live in cities. Cities are dying, okay? You can see this in cities across the country. I mean, use Detroit as a perfect example, all right? I mean, over the last 40 years. Detroit used to have a population of something 2 million plus people. Now it has a population somewhere around 600,000. What happened? One industry died, the auto industry. Those of you guys who were up in Michigan back 40 years ago remember the joke. Last one out of Michigan, please turn the lights off, okay? Has Detroit seen any sort of resurgence? They keep trying, but I still wouldn't drive down. I mean, I was up there last summer, and it was like, okay, I think it's the Lodge. As we were going down the highway, I'm like, was it 94? It's like, let me get out of here, okay? It's still a scary area to be in. You know, when you look at boarded up windows and, you know, buildings that have pockmarks from bullets, yeah, you don't want, right off the highway, you don't want to be there, okay? Not safe. And now, if it isn't safe and you can't eat, what the hell are you doing still there? People say, I can't afford to move. The two words I hate more than anything else in the world are I can't. If you want to, you will figure out a way to do it. You know, gee, I'm sorry, you need to move somewhere cheap? There's plenty of places in this country that are cheap. It may not be the most exciting place in the world, but hey, you can still find a less expensive place to live that maybe has a grocery store. You know, these are the things that people need to pay attention to. The big picture. We all focus, the media focuses so much on the minutia, on the teeniest, tiniest little thing. You know, somebody will write Moby Dick and they're going to focus on one sentence in the book. Okay. No, we need to look at the whole book. If the grocery stores are closing around you, that's telling you that the local economy is failing. Because when the local economy is doing good, one of the first things that gets built are grocery stores. Because the economy's doing good, more people move into the area, the housing goes up, the people go up, we need food. When the people start leaving the area and the grocery stores aren't making any money with those tiny little margins, they close the doors. So if you want an indicator locally how the life cycle of your local area is doing, look at your grocery stores. If you're in one of these areas where grocery stores are closing, it's time to look at moving, because those cities are dying. And as those cities die, you know what happens to dying cities. Crime goes up, property values go down, and if you're stuck, you're stuck. Some people say, but my job's here. Go find another one. Okay? It's all I can say. We have the ability to see ahead of time. When you see your area turning into a food desert, when you can't find a grocery store, you're stuck buying food at a convenience store. Yeah. You can prep, but again, remember what we've all talked about in the prepping community. When the stores are all closed and you have food, guess who becomes the store? Except they're not paying you for it. They're just going to take it from you. If that's you, get out while the getting's good. We're in for a rough ride for a while. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Don't be stuck. That's all I can say.